Hey there everyone, this is Michael Dougal. I review nootropics, and you're going to learn about N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, which is very powerful for motivation, focus, and also boosting your energy. A lot of people actually would use N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine as a substitute to caffeine or some sort of stimulant because tyrosine can really help you for productivity, especially if you need something just to get you more alert, get you energetic for you to go ahead and finish a couple of hours of work. Tyrosine is naturally occurring. It's found in meats. It's an amino acid, and when you use it in a supplement form, often it can really be responsible for you being more productive and helping you with your energy levels. The common forms of using tyrosine include N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine as well as L-Tyrosine. So I'm going to share with you the differences between N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, also known as NALT, as well as L-Tyrosine. I'm going to go over their benefits, their side effects, and some of the reasons why I would actually choose to use N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine versus L-Tyrosine. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, drop a like. And I want to draw your attention to this study here where they determined that using L-Tyrosine would help your brain function during a stressful situation. So this could be a physical stressors such as being dehydrated, maybe being sleep deprived, but also for mental stressors. Let's say if you're feeling very fatigued or you had a tiring day at work, that's a perfect scenario in which you could use a tyrosine supplement in order to get your focus and concentration back. And after I had browsing through a lot of research, I found that most of the studies out there done on tyrosine are done on L-tyrosine, not N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine. So can you assume that N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine is going to do the exact same thing as L-tyrosine? I would say probably not. From my experience, L-tyrosine is far stronger, but that also could be the reason why you may want to consider using N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine instead of L-Tyrosine. Because the way you feel after you ingest L-Tyrosine is you feel motivated, you feel focused, you have a high level of energy. I also find that it blunts my appetite to some extent, and that usually happens when you take a nootropic for focus. And from my experience in using N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, sure, I notice those effects, but they're nowhere near as noticeable as L-Tyrosine. So something interesting is that you'll often see N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine marketed in a supplement serving size that's much smaller than L-Tyrosine. It's usually marketed in like a 350 milligram capsule versus L-Tyrosine. Those capsules are typically 500 milligrams or 750 milligrams. So you can make the argument that N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine is perhaps more potent, but even when I double up on the serving size of N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, I find it nowhere near as effective as L-Tyrosine. So in the past, I've not been too much of an N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine fan. I figured why use this product because L-Tyrosine is superior. It's been around for longer. I thought that maybe N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine was just like marketing hype because everyone's excited about the newest popular nootropic, but it's actually been my experience from using N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine on and off for the past 5 years that it actually does have some neat benefits. For one, you don't get the anxiety boost that's experienced with L-Tyrosine. For most individuals, when they ingest L-Tyrosine, like it's strong, it hits you, especially when you're in a fasted state or you haven't eaten for a considerable amount of time and then you use some L-Tyrosine, like you can really feel it working. Your focus is up, your energy levels are up. It's followed by not necessarily an energy crash, but more like a mood crash and a spike of anxiety. And I've noticed that with N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, I don't feel that crash or that anxiety afterwards, and it doesn't elevate my mood that much. Like typically I would only use L-Tyrosine pre-workout because I love what it does with my energy and my focus, but I don't like how I feel afterwards. And so that's the reason why I don't use L-Tyrosine for productivity. However, with N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, I could use it for productivity because it doesn't increase my anxiety levels to the same extent. N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine is a modified form of tyrosine. Is it necessarily better? Probably not. Because a common serving size of NALT is 350 milligrams, if I were to example use 350 milligrams of L-Tyrosine, I would still feel much different than how I feel with N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine. In fact, when I use small amounts of L-Tyrosine, I find that I get like a headache rush really quickly. But I want to remind you, we're all different. We're all going to respond to nootropics in one way or another. Some individuals really notice both forms of tyrosine working. I happen to be one of them. Perhaps I'm just more sensitive to the substances. And there's a number of different polls and discussions around which is better, N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine or L-Tyrosine. Most individuals notice better results using L-Tyrosine. There's no surprise there. But the odd individual mentions that they notice N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine where they don't notice anything happening with L-Tyrosine. If there's one thing I particularly enjoy about N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, it's just that the whole experience is a lot faster. So the effects hit you very quickly, but also it seems to be kind of out of your system within 45 to 60 minutes. Whereas when you use L-Tyrosine, you can notice it working for a good 90 minutes plus. This was an interesting review. Somebody mentioned there was no point of using N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine. However, the best way to take full advantage is to use the N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine along with the L-Tyrosine. And I would tend to agree with that. I found that I've had really good workouts, and that's typically where I use my tyrosine when I combine N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine along with L-Tyrosine. So N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine I like because it hits me very quickly, and that makes it such that I don't have to like take it and wait 30 minutes afterwards like your typical pre-workout does, as sometimes you're just waiting around waiting for the pre-workout supplement to hit you. But that's not the case when you use N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine. It's like you're instantly focused. And then I like the fact that by using L-Tyrosine I can get a more prolonged energy boost. So if you were to use N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine, I would say a serving size of 350 350 milligrams once a day is going to be ideal when it comes to body composition, losing body fat, and improving your athletic performance. But if you're looking for some of the other benefits such as focus, motivation, improving your energy levels, getting more work done, then a serving size of 350 milligrams to 500 milligrams twice a day would be better. One of my favorite supplements to stack my NALT with is Alpha GPC, which I've talked more about in this video over here, because both supplements, when used together, it feels like they provide you with more focus and motivation than typically. And Alpha GPC is as well naturally occurring and has a tremendous amount of research backing its effectiveness. I would caution you around using N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine before going to bed because of the fact that it will energize you. You could argue whether or not it is a stimulant, but it definitely has stimulating properties and will make you more alert. So for me, I wouldn't use it typically past 7 o'clock p.m. depending on what time I'm sleeping that day. And I definitely don't see it as one of the more riskier nootropics out there. I think it's fine to combine with most supplements. While NALT as well as L-Tyrosine will help you with athletic performance, especially when you use it with caffeine, what may happen is that it will elevate your heart rate to levels that you're not typically used to, and you can have pretty uncomfortable experiences. So I would really caution you around using N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine before like high intensity interval training or anything too strenuous that you're not used to. And there's a lot of discussion and questions around should you take time off of N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine. I personally don't. With both forms of tyrosine, I'm pretty much comfortable taking them every single day, which may sound extreme, but I haven't built any sort of tolerance to them. But from my experience in interacting with a lot of members, part of this great community, I found maybe like 30% of individuals need to take a break from L-Tyrosine or N-Acetyl L-Tyrosine in order for them to reset their tolerance. So if you are building a tolerance, you may want to consider taking a week off after using it for a month straight and then repeating it in that fashion. I hope you found the video informative. If you did, click subscribe, drop a like, and share your thoughts below in the comment section. And if you want to chat with me one-on-one, you can do so over on Patreon, and be sure to visit our Discord server, which has a 24/7 chat room. We're having a whole lot of fun. I thank you for your support and look forward to seeing you next time.